Welcome back to another one of my videos. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name's Lotta, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this kiwi mandarin yogurt cake. Now the first thing we need to make is this thin dough that our yogurt cream is going to sit on top of. So for the actual dough, you're going to need a good splash of vanilla, 125 grams of softened butter, 100 grams of sugar with a good pinch of salt, 2 room temperature eggs, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 200 grams of all-purpose flour, about just over a teaspoon of grated lemon zest. That's optional, you can leave it out if you want, and also a couple tablespoons of milk. Now I personally like to use my KitchenAid, so I'm going to basically just add my butter, sugar, salt, and vanilla into my mixing bowl and let the KitchenAid mix that up until it's super light and fluffy before I add in my eggs one at a time. Now if you don't have a KitchenAid, that's not a problem. You can use a hand mixer or just a whisk as well. Now I also just started preheating my oven to 180 degrees Celsius or 360 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the eggs are all incorporated, we can add our dry ingredients as well as our milk. So I'm going to start by just adding all of the flour, the baking powder, dried lemon zest, and I'm going to start with maybe half of this milk just because I don't know how much I'm going to use in the end. Might as well finish the milk off. Now the consistency that you want is kind of thick but still spreadable, so this is pretty good. So all we have to do now is add it to our pre-lined baking tin and then put it into the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes or until the top is nice and golden brown. Now for the filling, you're going to need 1 package of ground gelatin, or around 9 grams, a good splash of vanilla, 30 grams of powdered sugar, 500 grams of Greek yogurt or just regular yogurt, and 400 milliliters of really cold whipping cream. Now we're going to start by just adding our gelatin into a little pot with a couple tablespoons of water and just letting it bloom for about 10 minutes. Now in the meantime, we can already mix together our Greek yogurt, vanilla, and sugar in one bowl, and in a separate bowl we can whisk up our cold whipping cream until we get some nice stiff peaks. Now if you like, you can always add some lemon juice as well if you want a little more fruity, springy flavor inside of your cake. Now that the gelatin has bloomed and become completely solid, we're going to heat it up on medium heat on the stove, and you just want to heat it until it's completely dissolved and become a liquid again. And you want to make sure not to let your gelatin boil. As soon as it boils, it's not going to allow your mixture to thicken up. So just make sure it's liquid, it's a little bit warm, but it's not too hot. Now this does go really fast, so I think it only took like maybe half a minute for it to completely dissolve. So don't walk away from the stove while you're letting your gelatin dissolve on there. At this point we just have to temper our gelatin, because if we were to add all of this into our cold mixture, it would completely solidify immediately pretty much, and you would have these streaks of gelatin, which is not what you want. So we're going to add about a little scoop of our cold Greek yogurt mixture into our gelatin a little bit at a time, just to make sure that it becomes an even temperature and that they're about the same temperature. And you just want to mix it in to make sure that it's completely combined. I'm just going to do that 1 or 2 more times until I think this has cooled down a decent amount. going to transfer all of our gelatin mix into the Greek yogurt mix and give it a really good whisk to combine. At this point, we're just going to gently fold in our whipped cream a bit at a time. This is a good point to also give your filling a quick taste to make sure you're not missing any sugar or vanilla, or if you want to add any lemon or anything else to it. Now I already removed the tin from my cake and let it cool down completely. Now mine is pretty even, so I'm not even going to bother leveling it and cutting off the top part. But if you don't like the caramelization that's on the top here, you can always just cut the very top layer off and then have a completely straight surface. I just don't want to waste the top part, so I'm just going to leave it on and call it a day. Now for this next part, you're going to need an adjustable cake ring like this, or the same one that was around the cake that you baked it in. And you just want to put it around the cake and make it nice and snug so that the filling won't run out. Now we're simply going to add our filling into the ring, smooth the surface, and then put it into the fridge for at least 4 hours for the gelatin to set, but ideally overnight. Now I think this is as smooth as I'm going to get it for now, and it doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to add our fruit layer on top anyways. So this is good for now, so this can just go into the fridge. As you can see, it's the next day and we're finally ready to finish our cake. So I've already prepared our toppings here. So I went ahead and peeled, sliced, and halved 3 kiwis, as well as drained a can of mandarins. And I did save the juice from the mandarins, so I had around 100 milliliters of that juice. And I just filled it up with another 150 milliliters of water just to get to the 250 milliliter mark. Now if you have more canning juice from the mandarins, just add less water. Same goes the other way around. Now for our glaze, we're going to need that 250 milliliters of liquid, as well as 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and 1 teaspoon of sugar. Now if you're not using mandarins and you're using a different fruit that doesn't have like a syrup in it, you might want to add another teaspoon of sugar. That being said, you can also top your cake with just about any fruit that you want. If you have sliced strawberries, you can use that. If you have blueberries, you can use that. Or just add it all together and make like a really nice fruit tart out of it. Alright, so let's get on with making our glaze. Now the glaze is really easy to make. All we're going to do is add these 3 things into a little pot, bring it up to a boil until it's nice and thick, and then let it cool down just a little bit. So our glaze is done and it's completely thickened up. I'm going to let this cool down for a little bit and give it a stir every now and then. And in the meantime, we can decorate the top of our cake with our fresh fruit. I used a pastry brush to brush the tops of all my fruit before I filled in all the crevices with the rest of my glaze. So now this needs to go into the fridge for about another hour or until the glaze has set, and then you're ready to remove the ring and cut into your cake. So the cake was in the fridge for a couple of hours and the glaze is completely set. So I took it out of the ring. So at this point you can pipe on some whipped cream if you want. I kind of like it very minimal like this, so I'm just gonna leave it. So that's everything for today's video. If you did like it, you can give it a little thumbs up, and thanks for making it through the entire video. If you have any other cakes or pastries that you'd like to see me make, do let me know in the comments. And as always, the whole recipe is down in the comments below as well.